How about Operation Paperclip that brought a bunch of these Nazis to America? Are some folks that really agree with this Nazi worldview? I think there are. That's why I wrote the book in 2015, 500 pages, 600 footnotes, called The Coming Religious Reich. Joining me now is historian and broadcaster Chris Pinto. He hasn't been with us in a while, but we saw a story today. We immediately thought about Chris Pinto. It was a story about the very evil Dr. Mengele. Wow, that's not a very good setup there, is it, Chris? Welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Brandon, good to see you again.
We didn't think of you because you're anything like Dr. Mengele, but we thought about you because we know you're an expert on these kind of topics, just to clarify.
Well, yeah, I did quite a bit of study on the situation down there in Argentina for our last documentary, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, here's the headline. This is from World Israel News. Argentina opens files on Mengele, revealing how Nazi angel of death evaded capture. You know, this is right in the wheelhouse of what you and many others have been saying for decades, that Argentina knowingly helped the Nazis hide out, that even the Vatican reportedly was involved with what was known as the rat line, helping spirit a lot of them down there, right?
Oh, absolutely. Very famously known as the Vatican rat lines. Of course, it didn't just involve the Vatican. It involved the OSS, Office of Strategic Services here in the U.S.
Which became the CIA, right?
The CIA. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened with the OSS was the OSS was founded by Wild Bill Donovan, William Donovan, who was given absolute control by FDR during the war, because they needed some kind of an intelligence network. So they established the OSS. Well, Donovan he is described by one historian not only as a Knight of Malta, but also a well-trained Irish Jesuit. That's how he's described. And for those who don't know the Jesuits throughout history are known as a network of spies, assassins, and really agents of Rome, both secretly and openly. E. Howard Hunt, the famous CIA agent during the Watergate era, called the Jesuits the most advanced, sophisticated intelligence service in the world. So and there's lots of other quotes I could give. But what happened was Donovan, who was he's called a well-trained Irish Jesuit by one historian. He had access to all sorts of information. He also had a very strong connection with Britain's MI6. He had a whole office over there in England, and he had very close ties to the Vatican. Well, the Vatican also had very close ties to Hitler, Mussolini, and the Axis powers, which is very, very well documented. But a lot of it is very covert. A lot of it is underground, and it's controversial. You have books like Hitler's Pope by John Cornwell. That's one. A more modern book that I recommend is called The Pope and Mussolini by David Kurtzer. And that is a very powerful book because it talks about the role of the Jesuit General Ledachowski that most people don't even know about. They don't normally talk about Ledachowski, but he was very, very active. People like Edmund Paris, the French historian, claimed that Hitler was actually following the Ledachowski plan, the Jesuit plan, during the war. That's what was claimed. You had authors like Leo Lehman, who was a Catholic priest, who converted, became a Protestant, and he wrote the book Behind the Dictators. He went as far as to say that the entire Nazi movement was designed by the Jesuit order to carry out their purposes. That's what he said. So after the war comes to an end. You've got Donovan, who has this connection to Rome. He, working with British intelligence and with the Vatican, obviously, yes, they defeated the Axis powers, but then the question is, everybody's wondering, why did they start smuggling tens of thousands of Nazi war criminals out of Europe after the war to help them escape prosecution? One of them, of course, was Mengele.